Welcome everybody here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show, live from the Illinois Media School here in Lombard, Illinois. I hope you all are having a fantastic Wednesday. The sun is shining out here in Illinois. It's about 90 degrees out, so I'm sweating like ever right here. But my name is, like I said, my name is Andrew Valentin. I will be your host here today on this show. And as you guys can tell, it's a little empty out here on the show once again. Unfortunately, Tom could not be here, but luckily I've got my man in the back, the man that has joined me on this show quite a bit, and now I can officially say also as well, is a full part of this production at X-Bomb Productions and X-Bomb Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up once again for Mr. Tyler Prickett, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a round of applause. Woo!
How's it going, everybody? I am back.
Awesome. Welcome back, man. Appreciate you coming back, dude. Happy to have you. How you doing there, man?
I'm doing well. Just trying to, manage this whole situation back here. It's a little different.
Yeah.
Multiple different hands going in multiple different places. So
yeah,
it should be fun.
Well, I appreciate you helping me out, man.
Let's not do that.
It's all right. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a lot today. I mean, he's going to be helping me co-host as well as produce. I mean, he's got his hands full back there, so please make sure to go give Tyler a lot of love. Give him a lot of support out there, ladies and gentlemen. He's doing a great job, man. You're doing awesome. All right, well, Tyler, you ready for this, man? Because we got a lot to talk about here.
Yeah, let's get into it, man. I'm super excited about this NBA free agency and what can still come of this. So let's get into it.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he said it no way better. Let's get this one started. Kicking it off all day today. The show's been a little bit restructured due to the fact that Tom could not be here. So we're just going to hit it all with NBA free agency bonanza. We're talking it all. All the big deals, all the misses, the hits, the crying, the tears of joy, the tears of hatred, the pain, the suffering. We're going to talk about all that here. And we're going to start it off with, obviously, one of the biggest announcements that hit right when free agency had opened. Well, not right when free agency opened up, but free agency opened up 6 p.m. Eastern time, which was 5 o'clock Central time for us here on Sunday. And a lot of the big free agents were already being signed left and right. You had Kemba Walker, who went to the Boston Celtics. That was one of the biggest ones that started it all off. Kemba Walker signing a 5-year deal for $141 million to go to the Boston Celtics, which was huge. I mean, that was arguably one of the best deals we had seen by and large. But, of course, I mean, the biggest one that came through was the Brooklyn Nets, because obviously who would have thought that Brooklyn would come out on top like this? For those that don't know, the Brooklyn Nets were able to acquire Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and DeAndre Jordan. Kevin Durant had signed for a 4-year deal, around $164 million was the estimated amount. You also had Kyrie Irving, who signed a 4-year deal as well for $142 million. And then DeAndre Jordan gets a 4-year deal also for $40 million. And this was obviously big. This was huge. This was what everybody was kind of looking forward to and anticipating, because who would have thought that the Golden State Warriors, the New York Knicks, I mean, all these projections were being made. Brooklyn was kind of a side piece, right? We had heard the rumors about Kyrie Irving. I mean, Tyler, you had mentioned the whole Kyrie Irving thing. He had committed there. I mean, did you see this one coming at all? I mean, what were your thoughts?
I honestly thought it would happen. I didn't know about the whole DeAndre Jordan thing. I mean, they're kind of essentially making a big three, and what I've read and heard about it on podcasts and everything like that. Basically, they're just a bunch of good friends, and they've been friends. And Brooklyn's whole selling point was that, KD, you come here, we're gonna let you bring in, your friends. We're gonna make the room, and even you saw that because KD and Kyrie both took pay cuts to be able to, come to their team and be able to play with, DeAndre Jordan. So I thought that was really interesting. I think Brooklyn absolutely nailed free agency on the head. There's really nothing you can take away from this except, I mean, if you really look at it, they got Joe Harris, they got Karis LeVert. They didn't really lose any of their assets, so they're in a position to win this year. And then when KD comes back, they got a chance to be a dynasty.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I look at it and obviously, kudos to Brooklyn. I mean, this was huge. Unfortunately, I'm looking at this thing, and I got to be honest, I don't know how much I can really trust this. And it's just because based off the fact that I look at a guy like Kyrie Irving, and, he's had a lot of problems with the teams he's been on, right? I mean, Cleveland, he didn't have a problem until, LeBron came around, and then LeBron's like the older brother that, came around and got the keys back from the younger brother. LeBron's the older brother that went off to college and told the younger brother, Kyrie, hey, look after the car while I'm gone, right? And then LeBron comes back and he's like, I need my keys back. And, he says, but I'll drive you around, Kyrie, don't worry. And they're driving around, but at some point, Kyrie wanted the car back. And LeBron said, no, this is still my car. And so he left, he went to Boston, and he obviously did a great job in Boston. He still put up his numbers. He got he got Boston into the playoffs, but there was so much talk on he's butting heads with, Brad Stevens. He's butting heads with, the other players on the team with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I mean, there was a lot of talk that there's no real cohesion in Brooklyn. I mean, it's tough to really say if this is going to work.
Yeah, and I agree with that too. But the thing that really made sense to me was the fact that Kyrie's not going there to be, 1A. Right. I mean, he's not going there to be the number one option, whereas KD was. He's not forced to be that star role. Yeah. Whereas if he were to go, a different team, he couldn't be able to be on the Celtics and be the number one guy. He has too big of an ego, and you saw that in what you're talking about with the LeBron situation, the keys to the car and everything like that. It's like he just has to be able to coexist with another superstar that is better than him. And I mean, that's not taking anything away from the talent that Kyrie Irving is. But, at the end of the day, I think Brooklyn did their best to ensure that Kyrie will be happy, I guess.
Yeah, well, here's the one thing that I look at it with, because I agree with you. I think he's going there with the understanding, at least in this year, I'm going to be the backup. But my question is, because he's got 1 year now where he's going to be by himself, right? I mean, Kevin Durant's going to have to sit out for the year. My concern is that Kyrie's going to get a taste of what life is like in Brooklyn by himself. I mean, this is his home territory of New York. This is kind of his place, right? I mean, it's kind of his city in a sense when you look at all the pieces that are there in Brooklyn. He's the guy. He was born there. He was raised there. He was a top prospect there. Now he's coming back home. He's been a fan of them since they've been the New Jersey Nets. It's all these different things. And I feel like if he gets this 1 year, he gets a taste of what it's like to be the hero of Brooklyn. Like, let's say the Brooklyn Nets go 50-32, right, next year. I feel like Kyrie Irving will then start to say, well, then, hey, I want the ball back in my hand again. I want to be the superstar. And then, and I put this on Facebook, and I don't know how many people probably were ripping me on it, but I look at it and I say, if that does happen, that's Oklahoma City 2.0, where Kevin Durant was out for 30 games. Russell Westbrook came in and, took over the show in Oklahoma City, and then all of a sudden he was like, hey, I like being the superstar. I like being the guy that scores all the points. I don't understand why we need Kevin Durant. And then I feel like that could be a problem that persists in Brooklyn. I don't know if that will be the case. I hope it's not. I hope Kyrie Irving can relate himself down to the fact that he's just like number 2 on the team. But I feel like give them that year and let's see what the process looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that too, but at the end of the day, I think Kyrie knows what he's going into. Like, if he wanted to go to a different team and be the only guy, I think he could have done that. But, I mean, at this point of his career, I think he's really just looking for a bounce-back performance and, I mean, season, I guess. And, yeah, like you said, he's not going to be there with Durant and everything like that for the first year. But I think it's really going to show if he can be a leader. But, like, in terms of what you say about Russell Westbrook and everything that happened with that situation, I think Kyrie, knows that he needs to play with another star. Where I think Russell thinks that he can be the only star. Right. But, I mean, Paul George is just taken off on another level. But in terms of what they can be with the Brooklyn Nets, it all depends on what happens this year. Because they were in a position last year with D'Angelo Russell that got them to the playoffs and everything like that, where they just needed that star. And they ended up, putting all their eggs in one basket, so to speak. But they didn't, though, because they didn't give up all their assets. Like I said, they still have their whole entire young core pretty much. I mean, they lost Jared Dudley, but I mean, who really cares?
Yeah,
But
right.
no, I'm just saying. I think they're in a position to win this year as well as next year. And I mean, I don't know. I think that Sixers team is way better than them, but I could
Yeah.
see Brooklyn still getting it as a 5 seed or something like that.
Well, and I'm kind of jumping ahead on this a little bit, and I apologize, but obviously, we bring up the whole D'Angelo Russell situation with him in the the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, obviously, with this, that means D'Angelo Russell's out, but the Nets really did a smart thing here. I mean, in my opinion, I think it was a smart thing. They picked him up on his deal, for D'Angelo Russell, and decided to do a sign and trade with the Golden State Warriors. So D'Angelo Russell now headed to Golden State.
Right.
And he was signing a 4-year, $117 million deal. So D'Angelo Russell now a part of what is considered to be the best team right now, still in the NBA. And for whatever reason, so many people are really critical of, D'Angelo Russell's not going to work with this. You got Clay, you got Steph. How is this going to work? And I don't think a lot of people are realizing that this is probably a short-term deal.
No, yeah, and I agree. And
It's a trade deadline thing.
yeah, and I'm assuming you're gonna jump into it with this, but do you follow Ross on Legion Hoops?
Yes,
He's the creator
yes,
of
I
that.
do. Yeah.
He said going to be very interesting how the Lakers fill out their roster.
Mm-hmm.
If they miss out on Kawhi, I could still see them doing a trade for D'Angelo Russell, which
Yeah.
was before the whole Kawhi situation and that all blew up. They really were interested in signing D'Angelo Russell,
Yeah.
which I think would be a good fit. A guy coming into the league, having all the eyes on him,
Right.
to be something he's not at the time, and then he gets away from there, like Lonzo Ball did now, and you think he can prove to be something, more, and then he comes back and just has that veteran leadership with LeBron and AD, and I think he could be what they need. But
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
obviously, if
absolutely.
Kawhi goes there, that's not going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, the Kawhi thing, we're gonna jump into that probably towards the back end of this program, because certainly there's a lot with that situation that's gonna be broken down. Yeah, I mean, no, you bring up a good point. I mean, obviously, Golden State, they could. This is a short-term relationship. It's like, it's one of those things. It's like when you date like in high school, or when you're in those first early relationships. It's 3 to 5 months, and then it's done. It's over with. It's out. Because pretty soon you start to realize how the person is, because everybody's saying, oh, well, he's selfish with the ball, and, he's young, so he wants to go out and stuff. And, Steph and Clay, they've got their families. They're older now. They're more mature, and they don't want to. Doesn't matter. It's a short-term thing. And then Philly, LA, or one of these teams that are going to be making a playoff push, maybe even Toronto, I don't know. I mean, you look at Toronto, they could say, hey, if we don't get Kawhi back and they're making a run and maybe they've got a chance to make a playoff push, maybe they make the move for D'Angelo Russell. Who knows, I mean, this is where Golden State now puts themselves in a position to say, look, he's going to add something to this team for the time he's here, and then he's ultimately going to probably move on. He's going to find another home.
Yeah, I think it was a good move by Golden State in multiple avenues. I mean, yeah, he may not fit with the offense, but in terms of what they can do with the trade asset, that's insane.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
if he comes out and balls while, Clay's not there and he's balling with Steph, or he's playing the point guard position and Steve Kerr's not having to force Steph into the lineup all the time,
Right.
and he's showing what he can do, a team's going to go bite at that. They'll probably get 3 first-rounders for it.
Yeah.
If they're in the middle of a playoff push, you never know.
And not only that, but they brought back, Kevon Looney. Obviously they moved off of Andre Iguodala. They traded him to the Memphis Grizzlies. Which is it's unfortunate to see, but you know what? It was time for it to happen.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
but he's still he's still a wanted asset, which is great. But this just adds fuel to the fire for them. I mean, and if you can make that trade, Philly's got so many assets that that you can work with. Toronto's got assets you can definitely work with. They just won a championship against you with it. You know? What better way to poach it than from the championship team that just beat you? Make the enemy your friend.
Right. And one thing we don't seem to be talking about a lot is, obviously we talk about the Lakers and what they're going to do.
Right.
We're going to get back into that with the Kawhi Leonard
Oh, yeah.
situation. But if they miss out on Kawhi, and since we're on the topic of Toronto, it's gonna be interesting to see what Toronto does when they miss out on Kawhi. Like they don't really have any options. They didn't go after anybody in free agency. So
Yeah.
I mean, you can bring back Danny Green, and I assume Danny Green is waiting on Kawhi's decision to decide where he's going to go. I've heard he's linked to Philadelphia, and he would like that and everything. And they definitely need some more shooters. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, the NBA is going to be a whole different landscape next year, and I'm just like I said, I told
it's
you,
already changed.
Free agency was going to be popcorn, and it's lived up to expectations.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, look, on top of everything we've seen, like I said, you got Kemba Walker going to Boston, which I think is a great move because on top of that, to be honest, I think this is probably an unpopular opinion. People probably see different. I see him being better than Kyrie just because he's a little bit more patient with his shot. Seems to have a little bit more of a tougher mentality to it. And he just, his assisting ability, his ability to pass out to the open man just seems to fit better for Boston. And for a guy like Jason Tatum, who is still young, and Jaylen Brown, who's still young, putting them with a young point guard who has like veteran mentality, like an Andre Miller almost, or a Chauncey Billups type of way of thinking. I think it's going to open up the way Boston plays.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I obviously understand the situation with Kemba. Charlotte, lowballing him, so to speak, and he wanted to get out of there. And what better fit? He goes to a team that needs a point guard and is in a position to win, and Kemba's never been on a team that's, looking to win and everything like that. So, I mean, it's awesome for him in terms of what he can be and everything. And what you say about the Kyrie Irving thing, I don't know if I would say he's a better, scorer than Kyrie, but in terms of facilitating and everything like that and being a teammate, I think he definitely could be the better guy. So, I mean, I think Boston wins out in this situation. Losing Al Horford doesn't help them out, but, I mean, they went and got Enes Kanter, so, I mean, I guess that's okay.
Right. Well,
so,
and then
cool.
People forget, too, they still have their first-round pick from not this year's draft class, but last year's draft class, which was Williams from Texas A&M, who's pretty much like a bigger version of Al Horford, and he's 20 years old, I think, 21 years old.
Is that Jonah Williams?
No, I feel like
not
Jonah Williams.
football.
No, that's NFL. Wrong sport, my friend. No, I can't remember his first name, but he's Williams. He played at Texas A&M. He's their big power forward center that they took, and they kind of said...
Oh, Robert Williams.
Robert Williams, thank you. Yes. They told him, learn from Al Horford. They said, Horford took him under his wing, and they're going to teach this kid. They're going to get him in the lineup more often. I mean, they're looking good. So, and this just helps accelerate their timeline because everybody was like, oh, Danny Ainge can't bring in a top free agent. He just brought in one of the best.
Yeah.
I mean, and he just brought in another one of the best, a couple years ago, and Gordon Hayward and all that. So you can't really bash him for that.
Yeah, and I mean, really, having the backlash of not getting AD and everything like that, and you have all these different trade assets, but you never do anything with them. Yeah, you're stockpiling them, but what is that doing for you? I see Marcus Smart getting moved, or maybe even Jaylen Brown. I don't understand. I mean, obviously, I understand the Kemba Walker move, but at the same time, like, if you want to build around your young superstar and Jason Tatum, you got to give him the keys to the street. And what I mean by that is he's not going to be getting the most shots up, whereas Kemba is a ball-dominant player, and I don't think Jason Tatum's going to – I could see it fitting well, but at the same time, it's like Jason Tatum's not going to be able to, go out and be what he ultimately can be.
Well, and this is where I think Kemba Walker's going to take – I think he's going to take Jason Tatum from being just, a regular – average, above average player to the star of Boston, basically, to put him into that status of being a 23, 24 point scorer. I think the arrival of Kemba Walker signifies the emergence of guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum to become better players. We talk about these guys and say, well, they're good, but they're not great. And I think with a guy like Kemba Walker, we're going to see these guys become the great players that they really are.
Yeah, I would hope so. That'd be a perfect situation for the Celtics.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, look, we were gonna do commercial break here, but obviously, you know what? I mean, there's so much we've got to burn through on this. Forget it. There's just too much we've got to talk here.
We pay them people enough.
Yeah, exactly. But here's one big thing, and this is where I may get a little loud on this. So I apologize to everybody out there. The New York Knicks.
Uh-oh. Dun, dun, dun.
So here's the thing. I've been talking with everybody about that situation, what happened with the New York Knicks. Now, if you haven't heard the reports, obviously the New York Knicks, reports came out that, they were getting everything ready to go after Kevin Durant, and then obviously the injury happens, and then people were saying, well, they're still interested, but, it kind of seems like they're laxing off a little bit. And then all of a sudden, here comes free agency. Brooklyn is announced to sign Kevin Durant, and then the words come out that the Knicks weren't even fully prepared. They were not prepared. They weren't even dedicated to giving him a supermax contract. That's the word that's coming from all the media in terms of what the Knicks front office was looking forward to do. Now, here's what I'll say before I go on. I don't want to go on a big rant, but I'm just going to go on a little tirade here. I understand that you don't want to give the money to a guy that just had a ruptured Achilles tendon. It could be career ending. He may never be the same player again. It's almost a guarantee most of the time. I understand that. It's Kevin Durant, yes, but it is still a major injury to the Achilles tendon that you have to be very concerned with. It takes a long time to heal back. It's a very hard muscle to come 100% back from. I understand that completely. But you are the New York Knicks. You are the new Cleveland Browns. You are the definition of losing, of being bad.
Haven't been in the playoffs since 1999.
Exactly. You haven't been in the playoffs since the dawn of time, basically, it feels like. You haven't won a championship since the 70s. And you feel the arrogance to say, well, the top free agent that's out there, we weren't really prepared to commit to him. You weren't prepared to commit to him. Who are you hoping to get? What was the process in this?
It's absolutely mind-boggling.
Yeah,
I think it's just absolute foolishness. I think it was a scapegoat coming out and saying that. Yeah, you don't want to look, but you made yourself look stupid.
Absolutely.
I think what people don't realize is Charles Oakley is well-respected in the league and the NBA. Obviously, when he played and even now, and the whole situation there with what happened with the Garden and everything with James Dolan. James Dolan, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I just think everything that happened there really was backlash for them. And people don't want to go there. They want to be respected, and they want to be respected when they're there and when they're retired. So
yeah, it's and look, what boggles my mind even more is what I hear from the people that report on this stuff, is saying, oh, well, this really wasn't James Dolan's decision. This was Steve Mills, the president, and Scott Perry, the general manager. This was their decision, and, and it's all the front. Bull. I'm calling straight bull. Not the fact that it wasn't their decision. I believe it was their decision, but their decision is influenced by the owner. And, of course, you have an owner in New York who is regarded as one of the top 10 worst billionaires in the history of the world. You have, the guy is ranked as one of the top 5 worst owners in the history of professional sports.
Yeah.
I mean, his music's terrible. I mean, what else can you say about a guy like James Dolan? He bans a fan. He runs this team into the ground.
He needs to sell the team, but he can't because he doesn't have anybody coming to the games.
Exactly.
And you're not going to get anybody coming to the games when you got, freaking Julius Randle, Taj Gibson, Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
I mean, how many different forwards are going to sign?
Well,
go get a guard. How about that?
I'll give you the list of the guys they've signed and for the money that they've gotten. Julius Randle for $63 million, Bobby Portis for $31 million, Reggie Bullock for $21 million, Taj Gibson for $20 million, Elfrid Payton for $16 million, and Wayne Ellington for $16 million. Those are the new additions to the New York Knicks. This is a panic move. This is what happens when the Knicks tank and tank and tank, and they say, "Oh, we're gonna get Zion. We're gonna be so good. We're gonna have the best college player." You get the number 3 pick, and they go, "Oh no, what do we do? What do we do? So they go with the next best thing and they say RJ Barrett, and then they're trying to sell RJ Barrett, right? Like he's something. They're trying to make him seem like, oh, you could put him on a poster. You can put him on a poster, but it's probably not going to sell like Zion.
Right.
This is definitely not. And then I thought the panic move was going to be they're going to put all this money into a contract and be the first team to offer Kevin Durant. And maybe they were, I don't know. But it doesn't seem like they were after the reports that have come out. If you're not offering, then clearly you didn't have anything ready. So I thought they would put all the money in front of Kevin Durant and say, here it is, take it. Don't sign with anybody else, just sign it right now. And Kevin Durant would just be like, no, I want to open my options. And then he would go sign with somebody else. Instead, you don't even offer? You don't even offer. You don't even take a chance.
Yeah, it's just... It's really interesting. I mean, but the weird thing is that other than Julius Randle, all these contracts are 1+1. So what that tells me is that they're holding out for Giannis in 2021. So I think the next campaign is going to be Giannis in 2021 coming to the Garden, which that's not going to happen.
No,
Giannis
he's
is probably going
to
stay with the Bucks.
Absolutely, yeah. The Bucks, which the Bucks just signed. Chris Middleton to a 5-year deal for like $178 million, I think it was. So you've got him locked in on a big deal, Middleton, who, by the way, is best friends with Giannis. That's pretty good reason for Giannis to say, hey, you know what? I'm coming back. And I'm sure Milwaukee will clear out all the space it can to make sure Giannis stays. And I'm sure he wants to stay. Because why do you want to go to New York? This is a $3 billion franchise. $3 billion. One of the most profitable franchises out there. One of the most expensive out there in the world. Yep. And it's this screwed up. I mean, it makes me mad inside. I mean, it also makes me happy, though, because at the same time I say, hey, our owner doesn't say anything. Your owner just can't keep his mouth shut. Our owner doesn't sing bad music. Your owner does. Your owner thinks he's this rock star.
Right.
I mean, it's just, I mean, it makes me frustrated because it's like, in order for if the NBA really wanted to cap more on what it could be, LA, Chicago, New York, your top 3 markets, they should all be performing at a high rate. Chicago is kind of iffy right now. We're not sure where we're going. LA looks like it's being built into, back into the glory days. And then you've got the Knicks, the #1 market in America, and it's dying.
Imagine being a fan of the Knicks.
I can't even. I mean, my God.
I mean, oh, geez. And being a Brooklyn fan, that's even awesome. Like, more awesome because now you can brag. Like, who's little brother now? Yeah,
exactly. That's the thing. And Brooklyn is in New York, yet it separates itself out like it's its own state, its own nation. It's like it's a separate... It's totally separate from the rest of New York, and now, I mean, they have every right to have bragging rights over them because now the Knicks have to look over to Brooklyn to say, this is what we could have had.
Right.
Everything was right there for us, and you botched it.
Yep.
I mean, like I said, it makes me mad inside because I look at the ineptitude of our franchise here in Chicago, the Bulls, and I'm frustrated with them. But I couldn't imagine them at least not taking a chance.
But the meme is, at least we're not the Knicks.
That's true.
Like
at least we're not the Knicks.
Always say that.
Very
always
true.
Say that.
I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And where the Knicks think now that this whole panic move of getting, I mean, look, Julius Randle's good, and I think he'll be decent. But Taj Gibson. I mean,
watch out, Kevin Knox.
Wayne Ellington,
Dennis
Elfrid
Smith
Payton.
Jr. is a dog.
I mean, it's just, I don't know. I'm not a Knick fan in any way, shape, or form.
Tank for LaMelo Ball.
Yeah. It just boggles my mind. It really does. Yeah, and if LaMelo Ball is the answer, I'd be interested to see that. I mean, I don't know if it would work, but I don't know what the Knicks can do at this point. I don't know what saves this franchise. But... Yep. It's torturous, man. It is torturous.
I don't understand why they're not like making a hard put. I mean, they can't now because they already spent all their money, but they could have made a hard push after Kawhi. But then they went and spent money on mid talent and got nothing out of it other than money spent.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's. I don't know. I really I can't find an answer. And that's the problem. Is like the Knicks can't find an answer. We can't find an answer. There's nothing that seems to be out there that's be able to say, what's the solution?
They're a poverty franchise.
Exactly. Yeah. It's sad because they're the most expensive NBA franchise out there. Last time I checked, they were the most expensive NBA franchise of all of them because obviously it's New York. And yet they have nothing to show for it.
And if going back to when Carmelo Anthony was in his prime and everything like that and what they did with him,
right.
Like they never got anything. They could have went out and signed a big guy like a D Wade or a LeBron to pair with him, but they never did. It's like you never gave your team a chance, and you're just now sitting there. Carmelo's retired or whatever. He'll come back and play for the Lakers. But it's just interesting because like you had a chance to be great and you never took it.
Well, and here's the interesting thing with Carmelo. I mean, when he went to the Knicks, I was one of those guys who I was vehemently opposed to him going to the Knicks. I understood why he was going back home to New York. It's his home. He wants to try and win a championship there. Yeah. But, I mean, I felt like his best chance to win was there in Denver. Yep. They were building the team around him. They were acquiring assets for him. They were clearing out cap space to try and get a player on a big contract.
J.R. Smith in his prime.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Before he was foolish. I mean, you had a good team. And so why leave? Why go? It seems, as soon as he goes to New York, he's still playing well. But then you can see you've got the distractions, you've got all this stuff going on, marketing this and that, and it pulls you in different directions, and it just becomes a huge problem.
Yeah.
Where Brooklyn's a little, it's New York still, but it's smaller. It's not as big because the Knicks are named after the city. It's New York. The Nets are just at the Brooklyn. They were Jersey, then they became Brooklyn. It's just. It works a little bit better for them. They don't have to worry as much.
Yep. They're not representing the whole state, I guess. I don't know. It's insane. I mean, I would hate to be a Knicks fan.
I would too. And look, to our New York fans out there, we love you guys, but at the same time, you guys should be ashamed of your franchise. I'm just saying.
We give you the full right to drop the key in the car off at the front door and just leave because you just join a new team. I mean, you're basically driving a Honda Civic right now.
Yeah,
and you need to be driving a Bentley. Go somewhere else. Go somewhere else while you can.
Point.
Go somewhere else while you can. I mean, you didn't get KD, you didn't get Kyrie, you didn't get anybody. So I give you full rights to get the hell out of there.
Hey, nobody said you had to wear the orange and blue all the time. Black and white looks good too. I'm just saying.
That's true.
They're just down there in your city. You just gotta learn to say Brooklyn, not New York.
Right, and I mean, really pause and think about this though. I mean, if the Sox obviously won in 2005 and then the Cubs won in 2016, but it's like if they had the situation where the Cubs were always good or the Sox were always good and vice versa, it's like, would you ever think about switching teams? I don't think I can. So speaking from a Knicks fan, I don't think I could switch over to Brooklyn.
Right, yeah. No,
but
that makes sense.
Go find another team to watch because obviously your team's not going to be good.
Well, it's like
forever.
It's like one of those things, like, I don't know about you, but like since the Bulls weren't good this year, like my backup team has always been like the Raptors, and then after them it's been the Spurs. I mean, I have an affinity for those teams just because I fell in love with their jerseys when I was younger, and then I just followed them ever since. It's just been one of those things.
I've always been a OKC fan. I loved Russell Westbrook even since UCLA and everything like that. I just like the way he plays, and obviously what D Rose should have been is what Russell Westbrook is. So just think, I mean, the possibilities are endless with what D Rose could have been. But yeah, I mean, what Russell Westbrook is really what D Rose would have been. So I really enjoy watching Russell Westbrook play, and I think his triple doubles, averages, and everything like that are very undervalued.
Yeah. No, and I hear you. Well, and that's what I mean. It's like this is one of those things where you don't have to just be a fan of the one team and that's it. You can be a fan of multiple teams. I love the Blackhawks, but I also love the New Jersey Devils. It's just my thing.
I had a Devil's hat at once, and it got stolen. So unfortunate.
Shame on that person, man. Shame on that person. All right, well, I mean, look, there were other moves, obviously, outside of everything we've talked about. I mean, you had Klay Thompson re-signing with, the Warriors, 5-year, $190 million contract. He had the biggest contract out of everybody, not in terms of annual salary, but in terms of overall money. He had the biggest contract. We already mentioned Chris Middleton, 5-year, $178 million. You had Kristaps Porzingis, who said he's going back to Dallas. He loved what he saw with the Dallas Mavericks. Who wouldn't? I mean, you got the Rookie of the Year and Luka Doncic there. And now you got Seth Curry also, I believe it was, coming back. So he signed a 5-year, $158 million contract.
And the other thing that people aren't even bringing up is Boban Marjanovic is heading to Dallas, which is very interesting because now they got 2 7'3" guys on their team.
That's true. Yeah, they've got the Twin Towers now.
Yeah.
And both of them really actually have a pretty decent shot. I mean, I know Boban doesn't really shoot the ball too much, but I mean, he can shoot it when he can. But when you've got that kind of length, and then you've got your point guard who can stand at 6'7", and Doncic, and then you also have Powell back as well, who's a pretty good scrappy defender as well.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. I think Seth Curry is going to start at the 1. I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then I think Luka's going to play the 3 or the 2. I don't know. They'll have different options for sets and what they're going to do, but that team's going to be fun to watch. I don't know. I don't know. I've never been like a fan of, I mean, you're going to hate me for saying this, but like Euro type stars. Like when the Spurs were in their reigns and everything like that. I don't know. It's just boring to me.
No, I'm just
It's
kidding.
just boring to me. I don't know.
I hear you.
I respect it more now, and I'll respect what Luka does and what Kristaps does and everything like that. But it's like, I don't know. I just find American-born players more fun to watch. But at the same time, Giannis is amazing. So
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I think it's a lot because of like you look at the American set. One, we're raised with it, right? I mean, we're born to kind of see the guys that grow up in America, where for us, it's a lot of flashiness, it's a lot of quickness, it's a lot of that kind of stuff. It's
Right.
dunking and stealing the ball and fast breaks and all that kind of stuff. And Euro ball is kind of more of it's a little bit more slow paced. It's kind of more like ballet. It's a little bit more agile, 3-point shots, jump shots, things like that. There's not a lot of dunking really happening there. But it does give you a different look at how the game's played. And for a guy like Kristaps Porzingis and Luka Doncic, what's good about those guys is that they have that American style in their game. Because you can see with Doncic, he still has that like Euro step way of playing the game, right? He can still do the layup and everything with that style. Or he can take it on a fast break and shove it down your throat.
Yep.
With his like 40-inch vertical, whatever he's got. He has that ability to leap off the ground, and that's what's also good about Giannis. You can see with Giannis, he's not your average. He's not your average European player. I mean, he's clearly a beast of a totally different type. So I think it just kind of depends on how it's always on what your taste is. But I think with these guys, we're seeing a newer breed of player, right? And you look at a guy like Jokic, right? You look at the Joker. Nikola Jokic is one of those guys who can play the Euro game, can step back, hit a 3, or he'll grab the rebound grab the offensive rebound and just plug it back in by slamming it with one hand. He has that ability.
He's a phenomenal passer.
He is, and he has that. And that's another thing that the European game has always been credited. They have great passing ability. And I think a lot of people look at that and say, oh, it's very finesse.
Yeah, just team basketball overall, I'd say.
Yeah, and you need a little bit of that. I mean, this is a game where, yes, it's a limited roster. One guy can certainly make the difference. I will admit that now. Long ago, I really didn't admit that. Now I will admit one guy certainly can make a difference. It just depends on who that one guy is. But you do need to get the other 4 guys involved, especially nowadays. One guy cannot score 50 points. LeBron tried to do that, and he took it all the way to the finals, and then what happened? He wore out. He lost all the breath he possibly could. So, yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where you need a little bit of it, but it just depends on who it's coming from. But, I mean, again, it comes down to what your game is like, too. That's the other thing. But some of the other top free agents we had out here, I mean, you had some big re-signings too. You had obviously there was the talk on was Damian Lillard going to re-sign with the Trailblazers, and in fact he did. $196 million on what I think was a supermax contract. And then you also have Jamal Murray, who gets his big deal. He got a 5-year, $170 million extension.
Yeah, I think that was a bit premature, in my opinion. I mean, obviously he did great in the playoffs and everything like that and whatnot, but I just feel like I want to see more of him before I go out and do that.
I mean, he's certainly improved.
Because you gotta see. You got Jokic,
right?
And then you got Michael Porter Jr. You haven't even seen what he can do yet. It's like, I don't know. You're putting your eggs in a basket that I don't know if you should have been doing yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's worth that type of money. But I mean, with the new CBA or not CBA, but whatever you call it, I'm not even sure. But
no, you're right. You got it right.
CBA?
Yeah.
Okay. With the new CBA and everything like that and whatnot, like, I mean, I feel like that will be what he'll be worth. But right now, it just seems pretty horrendous.
Well, yeah. Well, I think it's one of those things where Denver kind of is looking at him and saying, hey, his performance over the last couple of years, because he's been averaging almost like 20 points a game for the last 2 years. He's been in the 20-point a game kind of category. It's just now we're starting to see the assists come from him. And then you've got, obviously, Jokic just coming along, too. And I think they say, okay, these are the two guys we're going to build around. And whatever happens with Michael Porter Jr., obviously he could be something. But I think they're kind of just saying, these are the two guys that took us through the playoffs, you know? And they're saying, let's try to ride these guys. Let's build around them and see what we can get.
Yeah, and then you also got Torrey Craig.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it's tough. I understand what you're saying, too, though. I think you do have to see more of what can come from him. I don't know if you can call him a star right now. I don't know if I would do that. I would certainly say I think he's a really good starter.
I think he's the same path as like a Kyle Lowry.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously Kyle Lowry is now a 6-time All-Star.
I believe so. Yeah.
Think so. I mean,
and he's he's also 34 years old, better veteran, better passing ability by far, and I also think better defense too. I mean, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Just right now, I don't know. I guess he deserves it, but at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know if I would want to be comfortable with that because then you got like Ben Simmons getting his max deal.
Yeah,
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean, I think Ben Simmons on the path that Giannis is.
Well, and here's the thing: Ben Simmons hasn't agreed to his contract yet. It's the same deal as Jamal Murray, $170 million contract extension for 5 years, but he hasn't agreed to the deal yet because I guess Rich Paul, the agent of LeBron James, which everybody loves.
LeBron and AD.
Yeah.
LeBron,
he's still working through the
Ben
details,
Simmons,
but apparently they're going to agree on that, I guess, at some point. But I'm in agreement with that, too. Look, I'm very super critical of Ben Simmons, not just because of the jump shot thing. It's just because I don't know how much you can really depend on this guy to be the leader of the team. But I will say this, if you're going to pick somebody between him and Joel Embiid, I probably would go with Simmons because...
That's exactly. And I had a conversation with that. I was going to bring that up.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my friend, and I said, if you were the owner, it's like, would you rather put your eggs with Embiid or Simmons? And I said Simmons. He said Simmons. And the whole reason was that, Embiid might be the better player right now, but I think Embiid has essentially capped what he can be. I mean, he may get a little bit better, but I don't see an MVP coming from him. In a league like this, I don't see an MVP coming from. Whereas Ben Simmons, if he goes out and develops a jump shot, which I think he will, just because all the haters and everything like that, and all the critics and everything, I think he's going to go work on a jump shot, and he's going to be one of the best players in the league. And I mean, like I said, I think he's like a Giannis type.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, what I see with Ben Simmons, because, look, we made the mention to, a couple weeks ago when we talked about the whole, Zion, where I mentioned Zion may change the way the NBA is played. I think Simmons is one of those guys who, if that does happen, he benefits greatly from that.
6'10" point guards.
Exactly. And all he has to do is then drive the lane and post himself inside, really. I mean, he can move from point guard to power forward. He can be like the new LeBron James, really. Point guard, power forward type of guy, move inside, move outside. He doesn't have the jump shot, but at that point, does he really need it? You know?
I don't know. And it's crazy because the 76ers are going to be insane defensively.
Oh, yeah.
If they can get some more outside shooting, that's the only question. It's like, but in terms of defense and everything like that, they're going to be fun to watch. And I think the East is theirs to lose.
Yeah. And on top of that, too, with the Joel Embiid situation, look, how many of you guys out there, I mean, and even you, Tyler, I mean, and for myself, how many of us have always been around people that are high maintenance? High maintenance people suck, right? I mean, they always need stuff. They always need this. They always need that. They need this kind of attention. That's what Joel Embiid is, right? 6 treatments before the game, 6 treatments after the game, you know, constant.
Not to mention, if you say something wrong on Twitter, he'll go after you for it.
Right. Always on social media, always wants to talk to somebody about something. I mean, come on. It's way too much. Ben Simmons doesn't say a word. I'm super high critical of Ben Simmons, have been, probably will be for a while until he starts to prove something. But if I got to choose between one or the other, I'm taking Simmons all day. Especially in a guard-dominated league where centers like Joel Embiid right now are a dime a dozen. It really is.
Yep.
I'm just, tell me I'm wrong if you want, but I'm not. I'm telling you right now. His style of play, you can find it all over the place.
Can't find a 6'10" point guard
You can't.
very often.
No, it's happened once right now, and it's called Magic Johnson.
Yep.
I mean, and that man was spectacular. And speaking of Magic Johnson, obviously the Lakers situation is something we have to talk about because we've got Kawhi Watch, ladies and gentlemen. Kawhi Watch.
Kawhi Watch
Is what we're going to be calling this because obviously Kawhi could possibly make his decision apparently by sometime today, maybe even by tomorrow, I guess is the word.
Yeah.
So far, the 3 teams that have been linked to him are the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Raptors. And the word is that the Lakers feel confident that they are the team in the lead.
Yep. Before we done, I saw some Richard Jefferson, obviously, the former great Cavs, Spurs legend. No, I'm just kidding. But he tweeted out, he said, I think Kawhi is going to say forget Canada and come back to the United States on the 4th of July. God bless America.
Well, here's what I'll say about this. Number one, Jalen Rose said he's like 99% sure he's going back to Toronto. I've seen multiple other persons out there from the NBA to the fans and all that have said Clippers and Lakers, and you know they're saying all different kinds of teams. I've even seen people say New York.
Right.
I don't know if that's.
And what I'll say about that is Jalen Rose also reported last week that Durant will go to the Knicks.
Yeah.
And obviously
Right.
that didn't happen. And he also tweeted not tweeted, but was on with I forget his name, but Jalen Jacoby.
Yes.
He said that the Bulls would trade Levine and number 7 for the Pelicans number 4, and I thought that would have been stupid. But he's reporting that was basically a done deal. It was just a matter of getting to the draft, and that never came to fruition. So I think Jalen Rose doesn't really know what he's talking about. But I mean, in terms of where Kawhi will land, I don't think anybody knows where Kawhi will land, other than where his plane's going.
Well, that's what I was getting to. I mean, it's really good actually. I like that. Yeah, nobody knows where he's gonna land except for his plane, basically. Yeah, that's the thing. Nobody knows where Kawhi's going to go because he doesn't talk to anybody.
Exactly.
He doesn't say anything. He just got on social media. He just put himself on Twitter. I don't know how many people know that. I saw that people were starting to follow him on Twitter. I'm like, what? Kawhi doesn't have a Twitter. He does now.
Oh, yeah, I knew about it. But yeah, he does not. He's not out there. He's kind of like how Kobe was at first. He doesn't really put anything out there. He just kind of has a Twitter.
He's not a social media guy. And you know what? That's okay. That is okay. I mean, look, we hear about these people all the time, right? You probably see it on your Facebook or Twitter page all the time. You see those people, I'm getting off of social media. I'm ridiculous. Come on. Nobody really gets off of social media. That's a load of you-know-what.
There's a Twitter account on, obviously Twitter, because we're talking about Twitter.
Right.
It's called Kawhi's SUV. Kawhi is inside me, sources say.
That's brilliant. I love it. I love it. But like, this is the thing is like everybody's trying to say like, I have this information, I have that information.
Sources say.
Yeah, and I want to know who the heck are your sources?
Right.
Because my sources say that there are no sources out there that are saying anything.
No.
We got 2 people for X-Bomb Sports that are connected through us through a little streamline that are in Canada. One's in Vancouver, another one's in Toronto. And I can tell you right now, both of them are saying, we don't have a clue what's going on. Because Kawhi's not saying anything.
Nope.
I mean, our source in Toronto goes to a bar that apparently Danny Green and a lot of or not a bar, but like a club and stuff like that a lot of the younger Raptors frequent from time to time, right? And apparently there have been a few there, and I guess people have gone there to try and ask him questions, I guess. And they're not saying anything because they don't know anything. Siakam doesn't know nothing. Danny Green doesn't know anything. Lowry doesn't know anything.
Van Vliet doesn't know anything.
Van Vliet doesn't know anything. Nobody knows anything. The only people that probably will know are the GMs, the presidents, right? Majai's going to be one of the guys that knows what's going down. Probably Nick Nurse as well, I'm sure. You know?
Yeah.
The Lakers, they'll probably let Vogel know, and certainly Jeannie Buss will know as well. According to a lot of talk coming from LA, he talked with Magic Johnson. They had a good conversation with each other. You know, and as for the Clippers, they had a nice little sit-down meeting, and I guess everything went well, but it didn't really get reported, you know? It's tough.
I mean, I don't like to get my hopes up. I mean, I just want to see what happens. I hate seeing every account tweeting that I have sources saying Kawhi's going here, or the Lakers are the front runners, or the Clippers are out, or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just let the man make his decision. And what the Raptors did to fail themselves, I think, is because Kawhi said he didn't want any type of publicity and just wants to have, just time to think about it. And they just sent out the whole freaking town to his freaking airport. It's like, or the hotel that they're supposed to be meeting at. And it's like, I think you're losing the race based on that. He's going to pick just a. He won't come out and say that, but I mean that has to do with it somewhat. I mean, if you're going against his sensibilities, then that's on you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, we just got a Woj bomb that says Kawhi will be signing with the moon. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Kawhi is going to the moon. There you go.
Who tweeted? Wait, Adrian Wojnarowski tweeted that?
No. That's just that's a little fake bomb there. I was just throwing out there.
Oh, gotcha.
But I mean, because that's like the ridiculousness we're getting to, right? It's like, we don't know where he's going to go, but when he does go somewhere, it'll be good for the league no matter what, right? If he goes to Toronto, great. Toronto's got their star back. They look like they could win another championship. Cool. Core's back, right? He goes to the Lakers. There's a big 3 in LA. Guess what? Lakers all of a sudden become favorites to win a championship. One of the top markets out there for the NBA now has a bunch of superstars, now has a bunch of talent. How wonderful, right? How great, how perfect. It's all set up. I mean, so many people are going to be mad if Kawhi goes to the Lakers, they say. But guess what? If he goes to the Lakers, that's going to help the league. It's not going to hurt it.
No, yeah, I agree with that. And it's just like, what people don't realize is
it's going to suck, but it's going to help.
And people don't realize I mean, if I'm Kawhi, I'd rather go to the Lakers because what happened with the situation against the Sixers and everything, there was just moments, just an inch or anything like that. Like, if the ball doesn't go in, you're not even in the position you're in. You're probably not even thought out to be the same position you're in. I mean, it's just crazy because I don't think he can go wrong either way he goes. I think it'll be tougher to win again with the Raptors. I really do. I don't think that team is going to be able to be as good as they are, and I think the 76ers are coming back for their revenge. But I don't know. I don't think anything could go wrong, but I think in terms of being able to win a championship again this year and for years to come, I think the Lakers are the best bet. Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. Well, and look, a lot of people have said, he'll be the villain if he goes to the Lakers and stuff. And,
no, he won't.
But look, when has being the villain ever been the worst thing in the world, right? Every good movie out there needs a good villain, right?
I mean, but look at it. We called KD. I'm not speaking for you, but we called KD the villain when he went to the Warriors. You can't beat him, join him. You got different situations like that. And it's
had LeBron.
Yeah, and look at what KD is now. He just signed with Brooklyn Nets. It's like, that's not going to define you. Nobody even worries about what KD did because the league changed.
Yeah, and look, Kawhi has never been a free agent. This is his first time ever. So he gets the chance, and you just won 2 championships. You were Finals MVP twice in those championships. You deserve to get a little bit of a chance to roam around see what you like. Tiger Woods was regarded as a villain because he was so good, right? Yankees are a villain because they're so good, right? The Team USA right now, everybody's mocking them. Every country hates us in soccer, right? But we're in the World Cup final for the third straight time. Congratulations to Team USA, by the way. But, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, exactly. But it's one of those things where people hate villains, but we love them at the same time because we need them. Lakers have always been like a villain out there to everybody, right? Knicks have always been like a villain to everybody. When those villains are there, it helps. Yep. Golden State, to some degree, has always been considered like a villain. Miami Heat were certainly like that evil villain. They were Thanos, right? They were the Thanos of the NBA for a long time. I mean, LeBron James in and of himself is like Thanos.
But then J.J. Barea and Jason Terry happened.
Yeah, right, yeah. But, that's the thing is, it's not a bad thing if Kawhi goes to the Lakers. It only helps the league. It helps to drive the force because then everybody wants to beat the Lakers.
Yep.
And everybody who wants to beat the Lakers is then, going to be watching them, seeing how they do. It's going to help the revenue of the NBA. It's going to help, the fan bases. In order for the NBA to get better, New York, LA, Chicago, San Francisco, Philly, all the top markets that are out there need to be hitting on every single cylinder. If they don't, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, wherever he goes, I think it's going to be good for the league.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what happens with Kawhi Leonard. I mean, look, there's so many other free agents that we could have torn through. I mean, a ton of money got thrown around, right? So much cash is flowing through. The average players are getting big-time contracts. Now's the time. Now is the time, if you are an NBA player, to go get your money. If you put up more than 12 points a game, it seems, not even, if you put up 8 points a game, and you play some good defense and you have a decent shot, you can get paid a good $10 million a year possibly.
Yep.
It's crazy. It makes me want to start to learn how to play basketball again.
Right. And another thing is Boogie Cousins, and Wojnarowski is saying that he doesn't even have a market for him. Nobody will even offer him the mid-level exception or the veteran minimum, which is $2.5 million or something like that. You can't even get what the Warriors gave him last year. It's like Boogie Cousins or paying Frank Kaminsky 2 years, $10 million. That's are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me.
Well, I think, and I'll say this before we close out here, when it comes down to, Boogie Cousins, DeMarcus Cousins, look, I think the guy is a fantastic player in all of his own right. I think when it comes down to it, though, with Boogie Cousins, it's a lot of people look at his past and they look at what he did this year and they kind of say, okay, he looked like he was definitely in shape, but he also looked like he was out of shape at the same time. We're not sure if he's going to be 100%. You don't know if you play him a full 30 minutes, if he's going to be the same player, or if that, crazy mentality that he had when he was playing, which, we all need a little bit of that crazy mentality in the game, but you don't want a guy that's going to be thrown out of the game all the time, And
definitely.
I mean, I think there will be a team that certainly picks him up. I don't know who it will be, but I think somebody will give him a shot. And what'll be interesting is, honestly, and I will say this because I saw this before, there is a possibility I think the Knicks do take a guy like him. I think it's possible. I mean, look, I know Mitchell Robinson looks good. I like Mitchell Robinson. I think he's a really good player for the Knicks, and he's their center right now. But put him with Boogie Cousins, I think Cousins can help take him to the next level, so long as Cousins does that role and doesn't try to overstep him as being the star.
Yeah.
I think they could be a good 1-2 tandem at power forward center, because that's what Robinson kind of does well, and he looks fantastic.
But then you still got Julius Randle.
Yeah, and then you got Julius Randle, who you can kind of shift out there.
And Bobby Portis.
Yeah. You could easily win 25 games.
Right. You're basically booked
to
be the first.
I guess they're really banking on some number 1 picks. All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for the show here. This was a lot of fun. It was great to break this all down. I can't believe how much we were able to get through on this. I mean, and so many more deals that have broken down. I mean, I wish we could get through all of them. I wish we had more time. But obviously, whatever happens with Kawhi, we'll be talking about that next Wednesday. Because this Saturday, our offices are going to be closed, so we're not going to be doing a show this Saturday, unfortunately. But Tyler, thank you so much, man, for coming in and helping me out. I do appreciate it a lot, man. This was a ton of fun, man. This was great. I loved it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Where can they find you, man?
You can follow me at Tyler Dillon on Twitter, at TYLERRDYLANN on Twitter, and then I'm also the host of Putting Up Points radio show, 11 to 1 on, we changed. We're 12 to 2 now on Saturdays. Geez, what am I even saying? This one, that one. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Check that one out. And then also, I'm the host of the Chain Gang podcast, NFL podcast driven and everything. We haven't put anything out yet, but we will be. So make sure to check that out.
Yeah, guys, definitely go check out the Chain Gang podcast. Tyler's I've been able to listen to a few episodes. The guy does a great job. All you guys do. Putting Up Points as well. Every Saturday, not this Saturday, but every Saturday from 12 to 2, Tyler and Jake Bradley, his co-host, they go at it on the radio for 2 hours. They do a great job. Last Saturday, they did an entire mock draft for the 2 hours. We posted it up on the X-Bomb Productions Twitter at XBP_official. You guys can go check it out there. Some pretty interesting moves by those guys, I gotta say. I wouldn't agree with all of them, but I will say at the end of the day, your guys' roster was pretty interesting. I'll give you that. Definitely liked it a lot. But definitely go check those guys out. Definitely go follow Tyler. Give him a round of applause too, man. Tyler, you did an awesome job multitasking back there, man. Really good job, man.
Thank you.
If you guys want to follow me, you can find me on Twitter at @TheFluffyGuru. If you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I am the Boom Crew Captain there. Posted up a few videos and pictures and stuff. If you guys want to follow us on our Facebook page, you guys can go there at Team X-Bomb Sports, X-Bomb Sports Facebook page. Just type it in, and you can find us. Like us there. Leave us a comment. See seasons 1 and 2 of our original videos. Also, too, if you want to follow us on Twitter at X-Bomb Sports, go follow us there. We do a lot of reposting, do polls and stuff. We always are trying to make stuff up there. Our Instagram is also at XBomb Sports. Make sure to go follow us there where we post videos and pictures and things like that. We post the shows too. The links to them will always be in the bio. So if you guys want to check them out, go there as well. And of course, this YouTube page, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube page at XBomb Productions. Like, comment, and subscribe. Give us all that love in the world we possibly can. Ask us questions, give us comments, whatever you want. We're going to be changing some stuff up here pretty soon. We're going to be kind of giving a new aesthetic to the show to kind of give you guys a little bit of a different look. In the future to come, we're trying to work some things out. And also, too, guys, make sure to go check us out at anchor.fm /XBomb. We have a anchor.fm, which is a free podcasting channel, I believe it is, something like that. That you guys can listen to us. We're starting to post some stuff up on there. So we're starting to get a lot more stuff in collectively, and hopefully here soon we'll start getting some more free time to be able to do some stuff. And hopefully maybe next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, we may have something fun in plan for you guys. I don't know. We'll just have to kind of wait and see on that. But thank you guys all so much for watching. We appreciate it. I hope you guys all have a great 4th of July. Hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Please stay safe, have fun. Don't go too crazy, but also go crazy at the same time, all right? And with that, we will see you guys next Wednesday. So thank you all so much for watching. Much love, and peace out, Boom Crew.